Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of VCTV. I'm your host, Kyle Ellicott, and we are here talking about another important set of industries. We're going to talk about the technologies that are affecting them, but today we're talking about industries. We're talking about advertising, media, and entertainment. These are three very, very key industries that we know technology has had a dramatic impact and also have seen dramatic surge, but in some cases, a regression. But where and how, that's what we're going to talk about today. And as we do here on VCTV, we bring the best and the brightest from around the world and also experts in these industries to share with you their thoughts, their insights, and what they're seeing so that you as investors can be prepared with the most knowledge to make the right investments with the right opportunities. And you as entrepreneurs can know where things are going and who's investing in these areas and get inside our brains as investors to make yourself more successful. With that being said, a big thank you to our audience for tuning in. If you like what you hear today, make sure you click subscribe, give us a thumbs up. And if you'd like to be on a show like today, do reach out. We cover a number of technologies, industries, and regions around the world, and would love to have you on our show here at VCTV to share your thoughts and insights of what's happening either on the ground or globally as well. And entrepreneurs, we've talked about this once, we've talked about it twice, and we'll talk about it a third time. It's quarter three. It's that sprint to the end of the year. We're almost at Q4. It is the time when you are launching new product. It is time when you are fundraising. It is the time when you are building foundational relationships for your company. And we have a stage here for you at VCTV for you to get up on and pitch us as investors virtually your company along with our live audience. We'd love to have you, love to find the right show and industry and set of investors for you. So do reach out to the entire LA Token team and we'll find you the right spot. And with that, a big thank you to Maria and to the entire LA Token team for making VCTV possible every single day. I'm your host, Kyle Ellicott. Let's go ahead and dive in. Again, we're going to be talking about advertising, media, and entertainment. What's happening, what's not happening, what's surging, and what may be a little lacking here in these industries as well. And with that, let's go ahead and introduce our guest, Irina. Welcome back to the show. A little intro, a little background for everybody.
Yeah, I get to go first. I feel like I won a prize, so thank you, Kyle. It's Monday. It's my first day back. Since Thursday. So it feels like it's been a universe. My name is Irina Litchfield. Many know me as a crypto superwoman. I'm founder of Blockchain Cubed. It's blockchain integration company. A lot of solutions are there in blockchain applications to the topics of the discussion, which we'll get into. I'm president of Lumeria, where capital meets innovations, my Monday brain. And I actually was a founder of entertainment. All lives I had an entertainment company and I advised to entertainment company and advertising company as well.
Oh, well, welcome to the show. A little unknown fact about you there on the entertainment side. We know you do so much in the blockchain, crypto space, deep technologies industry. So it's great to see that you have a little background in entertainment as well. I'm excited to dive into that. Lewis, welcome back to the show. It's been a few minutes since we've seen each other, but if you can, a little intro, a little background.
Yeah, easy enough done. Okay, I've been involved in the world of finance for over 25 years, investment banking, private equity, venture stuff. I'm a managing partner with FJ Partners and also the CEO of Megahoot. And little known fact about me, or maybe to you, little known, but I've been involved in the entertainment industry, so I understand it quite well. I've been involved in the advertising space, so I understand that very well, and the transitions that are occurring, from 20 years ago, 10 years ago to today and what's happening. So I think that this is going to be a great show. And I hope that my background in the space will bring a little extra zing to the conversation.
Absolutely. It always does. And excited to hear more about that background in particular, as we've talked about so many different industries and your background, which is very vast here on VCTV. So excited again with Irina to dive into that area of entertainment. Mr. Gary Fowler, man of many industries and technologies such as artificial intelligence, sir.
Yes.
That's a new one for you.
Yeah, I mean, thank you. Man. So I'm actually the chairman of one of the DSPs. I have investment in a DSP, demand side platform. And my name's Gary Fowler, a serial entrepreneur. Done 15 companies. And one unicorn been sold, another one's coming up. Click Software was one I was on the original management team of, and Eva, which is a company I started 3.5 years ago. I am the CEO and president of Get Shit Done Venture Studios, and we curate the most incredible AI companies from around the world, using Silicon Valley as a port to the rest of the world. And it's great to be here, Kyle. I'm looking forward to the lively conversation, as always, with our wonderful guests, Irina, Louis, and Juan. And this should be a great event today. Thank you.
Absolutely, and excited to have all of you. And last but not least as well, Juan, welcome to the show. It's a pleasure to have you here on VCTV. If you can, a little intro, a little background on yourself.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. So my background is a mixture of engineering, design, having been a startup founder and investing. Spent about a decade in Silicon Valley, went to Stanford for undergrad, master's in engineering and MBA. Spent a little while at the design firm IDEO, working on mobile devices in the early days, and then ended up coming down to LA after MBA and starting one of the first celebrity venture funds with Robert Downey Jr., Downey Ventures, focused on media tech. Spent quite a bit of time in that space. Also spun out a company called Epoxy, where we built tools for online video creators and networks publishing across YouTube and social, and sold that in 2016. Ended up getting involved in the crypto world in a syndicate investing with some Stanford buddies that turned into a full-blown crypto hedge fund, Enigma Capital. And now, in addition to that, which is still going, but a private, involved in 55 Foundry and 55 Catalyst, a spin out of Boston Consulting Group's Digital Ventures Group, where we partner up with Fortune 500s to build new startups and also invest on the Catalyst side. So a little bit of corporate foundry work plus venture capital.
Wonderful, and welcome to the show as well. Excited to dive into that. So guys, want to jump right in here. I mean, these industries, these three, so again, advertising, media, and entertainment, all of you have a deep background in these, and would love to just kind of start high level is what's happening. What is the current state? We know what happened in the beginning of 2020, but we also know, looking back at 2019, how these three industries were already being reshaped. Whether it was from the live streaming area, whether it was from data being used in terms of advertising, to then security, which I'm sure Irina is going to touch on a little bit, but also in media as a whole, the medium of which media we were looking at and being entertained was completely changing. Fast forward a year, here we are at the end of 2020. All three of these are completely different than when we started at the beginning of the year. So with that, I would love to hear from each of you, your view of the current state of these three areas. Irina, we'll start with you and we'll come around to everybody.
Yes, this year really just threw everything upside down. And, there we were thinking we were progressing. And, now we're just beyond progressing. It's just everything around us is accelerating faster in adoption and possibilities and everything else. To me, what's interesting is that entertainment, media, and advertising now is becoming really kind of bundled in and is now finally becoming a tool that is required for schooling, required for training, and kind of a really that push into the virtual. I think that pushes our boundary into seeing what do people really want to see and how do we really keep their engagement longer, because now everything is online, right? And how do we involve them? But also, to me, what I'm seeing, which I really appreciate a lot, is that the push toward understanding how impersonal and textile experiences are important for people. And so that hybrid model that we can have, and we've discussed about it last week, is that just kind of captures my attention and a lot of attention of what we're seeing from the projects, right? So kind of how how do you simulate that? Which also includes VR, right? How do you have the experience to where you can have sensors, right, that allow you to be able to, let's say, feel the texture, or at least basic texture. And so for entertainment, VR is really integrating. Everything we talk about keeps coming back into like this one big soup, you know? So yeah, and of course, one of the biggest challenges now with advertising is the privacy, right? So how do we manage more personalized experience for people, but also respect those privacy boundaries, because it is becoming something that we value and care a lot.
Absolutely. Lewis, to you.
Advertising in the digital age. This is where we're at. Okay, you have advertising way back when, newspapers, you had print advertising, then we went on to online advertising. Right now, advertising is being done in a way that you don't even know you're being advertised to. Passive advertising, in-game advertising for digital gamers, so on and so forth. Movies, you have advertising in movies that product placement where you don't even realize it, but it's there. Okay, so the digital age is allowing us to do all this stuff. And as far as gaming is concerned, and in-game advertising, machine learning and AI play a role in that, because it's customized. You're talking about customized algos that they know what you like, what you don't like, and they are able to advertise to you. So that's going to be interesting. I think that's going to continue to evolve. And as far as entertainment is concerned, Hollywood. Everybody loves Hollywood. I'm a movie guy. I love Hollywood. You know this. And basically, for movie makers, especially independent movie makers, distribution. Distribution is key. If you can't get the distribution, your movie goes nowhere. So I think that where we are right now was, and I'm sure Gary's going to go over that. The distribution part of it for independent filmmakers, even big movie conglomerates, that distribution is going to be disrupted, I think, soon, and it's being disrupted as we speak, and it's going to give smaller players the opportunity to actually grow and expand, and really hit the marks on a lot of things. But I'll pass this over to Gary now.
Yeah, well, just to comment on that for a minute. I mean, in terms of distribution, look at some of the new models that we've had tested in out of Hollywood in the past couple months. Right, we had big releases of Bill and Ted around 3. We had Mulan. We had other movies that came on demand versus going into theaters. Seeing a new experience where you can rent from home or video on demand, if you will, no matter where you are in the world.
Yeah, and
Brandon,
I just want to tag on to that before you go on to Gary. Now,
Sure.
with that, when they distributed the films, it was funny, and if you look at it, not really funny, but it happened. All the movie theater chains, they were up in arms. How dare you release a movie on demand on the internet? How dare you do that? It created a big thing, but now they have to evolve. They have to grow, and they have to embrace what's going to happen. Either that, or you're going to become Blockbuster. No one knows who Blockbuster is anymore, but they may become that. So they got to watch out.
Poor Blockbuster. At least the last one's still an Airbnb. You can go visit and stay at it. Little slumber party. Gary, to you, what are you seeing as the current state of these 3 industries?
I mean, so you look at it, Netflix added, they have 193 million subscribers to date. But the question is, their concerns are what's going to happen for the rest of the year, right? For the second half of the year, what's going to happen to them? And they're concerned about it. Think about all the movie theaters that have been shuttered, right? So Tenet, I was just looking at some statistic. Tenet last weekend their third weekend open only did 4.7 million in sales. So, I mean, there's a serious issue. And if you look at the movie theaters, my friend told me it's not about the movie, it's about the popcorn and peanuts and everything else that's sold in those theaters. They're just not selling. So, I mean, we're in this massive digital transformation that's taking place that's affecting each and every one of us. Look at, I mean, I personally, I did not watch Netflix. I had it, but I didn't watch it that much before Netflix and Prime. I mean, I never thought I would watch The Tiger King or Lost in Space, but I did. I never thought I would know who Carol Baskin is, but I did, and I got enraptured. So, I mean, it's, you know, we've changed, right? And the thing is, the funny part is, what is it, 64% or 67% of the movie theaters in China are open. People want to get out. I mean, they want to have life normal again. But the situation is, this isn't over, and it may not be over for another year, right? So what we have to do is adapt. And the great thing about humanity is we're really good at adapting to change. And that's the metamorphosis that's taking place today. Because it's like Russian roulette. You want to go in a movie theater and sit in there and take a chance of coming out and having something not good. Maybe it's not worth it. So I think that, you know, the part about one of the startups that I looked at actually did insertion into movies and TV shows, putting product placement. They have a technology, you can actually insert it inside of the film. So it doesn't have to be pre in there. It can be customized in there. So there's a lot of really cool stuff that's out. And we've got now a audience that has spent a lot more time looking at TV shows, looking at movies. You've got a really captive audience, and it's a great time. You know, I myself have looked at first run movies. I never thought I would be doing it streaming, right? But I love it. It's actually kind of nice. You know, got my own popcorn. It's a whole lot cheaper and it's a lot more fun. So I think that we're, you know, this metamorphosis is taking place. And what we have to do is embrace it and think about where the opportunities are. So product placement opportunities, how do we have a more enriching, more 3D in terms of, you know, feeling the movie? How can we get those kind of experiences at home? And by the way, it's going to start to happen, right? Now the technology for viewing at home, it makes a whole lot of sense, you know, for companies to spend money to get better, you know, 5.1 surround sound systems and better quality TVs and that kind of thing. It's an incredible metamorphosis that's taking place. And I like it. So, but the movie theaters, think about it. They lost 100% of their revenue that got wiped out because of COVID.
Mhm.
And they're on the verge of bankruptcy.
Mhm. And there may be some new business models around that as well, right? Being able to redistribute some of that square footage or some of that footprint
Yeah, of
to
course.
other things, right? We've talked about logistics centers, hyper local logistics centers and distribution centers for some of those, potential retail, plenty of opportunities. But Juan, to you, what are you seeing as the current state? I mean, you've been in these industries, having been a part of the Downey Group and Downey Ventures along with IDEO. What are you seeing kind of shift and change around advertising, media, and entertainment?
Yeah, so this year has really been exciting for me. Some of the other panelists covered a little bit of, you know, the advertising and traditional film, but I think one of the most interesting things going on is around the funding of startups, right? So I felt kind of this lull in media tech funding coming out of, you know, between like late 2016 and earlier this year, where even a lot of the strategic like corporate VCs and media were kind of looking at all these alternative models and not wanting to fund straight up kind of media tech companies. And the pandemic and the embrace of digital consumption has really changed that, right? So all of the people who are kind of my VC peers are now talking about what's the latest in deal flow, where they're, you know, we're almost trying to get out of that deal flow a year or two ago. So that's really interesting to see. And then the areas where I'm seeing a lot of movement and interesting innovation are around AR, certain types of VR, and new types of consumption environments. So, and I think you're actually seeing a crossover of some of the evolution of work from home tech and some of these technologies, right? So you're seeing things like Zoom, where there are platforms that you can build upon, and other video platforms, the ability to add, you know, AR augmentation, and then the forward-thinking innovation people in these industries thinking, okay, what's a AR augmented, you know, virtual concert experience, and you know, what is watching with your friends? What's the crossover of socialization and consuming content in all forms? And it's really interesting because you're starting to see people think about the subtle interface evolutions of these platforms, going from just the raw, clunky, video chat that we had 3 or 4 years ago to evolving more subtly into purpose-built social / entertainment application. And so I think that's a really exciting thing that's going on this year, pushed by the pandemic.
Well, and we saw, to that point, we saw not only the virtual concerts with things like Fortnite and Weave VR and a few other platforms that are doing great examples of that. The virtual worlds on the conference side, you've got Decentraland and a handful of others that have done tremendous jobs. But then in terms of traditional or established entertainment that we've seen for many years, the NFL. Right, so Verizon and the National Football League here in the U.S. partnered together to give you this social entertainment experience where you could watch football with your friends in this new little contained box. So rather than being on Zoom all watching a different television, you could actually watch it as if you were sitting on the same screen together. So back to that social entertainment, I think you're spot on. We're seeing more of that, right? We saw even House Party. Another example, an application that was settled, we'll just put that, for many years, all of a sudden came back here in 2020 and is continuing to thrive, bringing that social entertainment angle back into our lives. And I think something, Juan, to your point, we all wanted, we had with a version of social media, and then went our own separate ways as these streaming platforms and others came in. And then now we're looking for that reconnection back and leveraging technology to do that. So I think you're spot on. Lewis, I saw you on mute, so I'll pause for a second. I know you might have a comment.
I always have a comment, Kyle. I just want to. I think Juan had a lot of good points, and where we're going, and I think that the funding of startups is also going to change, and again, just what's happening in advertising. I've seen it throughout the decades how it's changed, and Gary mentioned this, as far as having the ability to digitally just on the fly change things within a game. This is the stuff of the future. It's going to happen in movies as well. You're going to have these opportunities to incorporate technology into films where you can allow certain things to change on the fly. Okay, it'll be interesting. It'll definitely be interesting. Just wanted to touch on that.
Yeah, and so actually, real quick question to all three of, or all four of you, pardon me. AR, VR. We've talked about virtual reality for way too long. And I mean that not here just on VCTV, but in general. Virtual reality is always something that's coming. It's always coming. It's always going to be here. We're going to get there. It's going to be in our home. It's going to be everywhere. Is virtual reality something that's really coming in the next few years? Is it here today? Or is this still a pipe dream out another decade ahead? And the reason I bring that up is we're seeing teases of AR. And we've seen great use cases, and it's been integrated into gaming, and it's been very successful with some of the games and applications that we know. But virtual reality, to all of your point, it is this new medium that we'll hopefully be using for entertainment, but it's still not being mass adopted. So in your opinions, is it here now? Are we still in the very, very early innings and we're not going to see this for another decade, or is this something to come very soon? So Irina, we'll come to you and we'll come around to everybody. So
thank you. Yes, you're so right about what you said, whether it's going to be there, is it a pipe dream? First of all, I think it is here. And to me, the arrival of it made it to where Oculus, right? So whatever Oculus that, I don't know all of them, but you could have it without wires, right? So, and then once you put it on, the immersion is to a point to where you experience feelings. And, so playing that Star Wars and standing there with having the guy with the big black mask, the evil guy, that's whatever, whatever, you guys know his name, like breathe at you, and you feel the feelings, you have emotions. It almost feels, it's shocking. However, too, it is in the world of privilege that it is here, right? It's uncomfortable for now. So you know, the mask that constantly pulls on your head, it's almost like a headache. It's very, very limiting, and you know, eventually it's kind of becomes like, okay, well, I need the texturized world. So to me, where we're seeing the change, and you know, and that comes to entertainment. Gaming is entertainment, right? Like games are entertainment. It's a part of entertainment, just as movies. To me, we must change the hardware. And we're kind of forced to do that now because some people might want to say, you know, so I organized a Bitcoin happening party, of course, right? So we were going to be in Ibiza with friends, everybody were like, it's a private gathering. We were going to be there. Okay. Yeah. Well, we did not go, you know, and so we wanted that in person kind of a connectivity. And like, it was great, but it was a little, it's still a little bit distant, right? So hardware redesign is important because even now, so look, I have to look up in order to speak to people. Now, if I'm looking you in the eyes, when you look at me up closer, do you see how it's off? It's off. It feels strange. And we're all experiencing this disconnectivity all the time. So I think that we're going to start really thinking of what is that connectivity, that perceptual connectivity. You see, like it feels like I'm talking to you. Is right. Maybe it's moving the screen, right? You know, disguising the camera right in the middle of the screen where you can position the picture of the person who is speaking, who you're talking to, that they're looking in the eyes. I mean, this increases the connectivity and authentic experience by a lot. And so I think we're seeing huge push into that personalization. VR, a lot of money is going into developing, again, you know, how does it feel? How do I put on a glove and feel maybe a little bit of buzzing or maybe a little bit of a texture, maybe some smell releases to make me really immerse into the vacation in Tulum that I love so much.
Right, and I agree that immersion, that emotional component. Juan, to you, I mean, again, pardon me, AR, VR, are we here?
Yeah.
Is this a pipe dream or are we kind of in between?
Yeah, so I think we're here. I think we're seeing different rates of adoption on AR and VR. I mean, AR going much faster, and I see it continuing to go much faster. I agree with the comments that the hardware around VR is still a bit holding it back. And then I think the adoption is different than most media companies imagined it, you know, 5 to 7 years ago. So it's like I would be in conferences back then, and you'd hear media executives talking about VR as if it was 4K, as if their linear programming and formats were just going to be dropped into this more immersive technology. And that has not come to fruition at all, of course. And, you know, it's obvious because it's a whole different interface. So I think we're starting to see certain experiences that make sense for VR. Certainly some of the touring shows or exhibits that people may have been to where you do a VR, you know, walkthrough of Star Wars and stuff, where you're going to a, you know, pop-up entertainment center to do that, have shown how immersive and incredible this can be. But that's a totally different model than, you know, putting on VR glasses at home to watch a VR movie, as they would say, like back in the day. So yeah, I think we're in the very early stages of it. I think it's going to take a really compelling home application to along with the improvement of hardware to drive more hardware sales. But on the AR side, you know, we already have a lot of the hardware that we need, and now people are just starting to have these interesting interface use cases that go beyond the initial, you know, Pokemon Go kind of splash into AR from a few years ago. So yeah.
Well, and the Pokemon Go was a great example of just the beginning, right, of AR, and really teasing out that mass adoption and getting the mass, you know, those that are not technologists like us who sit on the early adopter side, but really the masses as to what AR could be, right? How fun it could be, but also its capabilities in some cases as well. And Gary and Lewis, to both of you, I mean, let's switch gears into the enterprise. I know, Gary, you've written about this. Lewis, you've kind of teased about this as well. AR, VR in the enterprise. Are we here? Is it a pipe dream? Are we somewhere in between? Gary, to you first.
Yeah, so I mean, it's, I've written articles in Forbes and also in Medium about AR and VR. I mean, it's here, right? So just want to talk in a few points. I mean, Google Expeditions, AR and VR for the classrooms. Think about it. I mean, kids need to be entertained. It's kind of boring just sitting on a screen, have an online class. So AR and VR using Google Expeditions here now. VR used for post-traumatic stress syndrome today, right? These are applications that are being used now. Medicine, using VR for doctors, right? So think about the opportunities. It's like limitless. And Game of Thrones, right? Game of Thrones. I don't know if you watch Game of Thrones, but there was VR with Game of Thrones. So we're on the cutting edge. What people don't understand is, again, this is a wave coming in, and it's enrapturing us and capturing us and pushing us forward. We don't even know it's happening, right? It's going to happen. You're right. With Pokemon Go, it was kind of hokey, but I know a lot of people that played it and loved it, right? It was like so. In terms of the enterprise, sure. I mean, think about all the training applications that are out there. So to virtually train, so you don't have to go through that experience. And look at the military. How do we diffuse a bomb? I mean, without having to go through these experiences. So these are the kind of things where you bring the real world. And as a classroom, I remember the first time I looked at Apple Books when they had these three-dimensional incredible books that would really spring to life. Now imagine enriching it if you go into a library and you could actually have that experience as a kid. So, and then the cross-border experiences. I don't have to go to the Great Wall of China. I want to experience what it's like from my house. Mm-hmm. And I want to see that elephant up close. So in terms of, in terms of workforce training, of course, I mean, it's almost limitless. Think about how many companies need to train. So whether you're a mechanic with Chevy or Porsche, an airline mechanic, you're a doctor or nurse, any place you need to have training could use VR, and now's the time. It's going to happen. It is happening, and the digital transformation has pushed it forward.
Absolutely. And Juan, I see you. Yeah, go ahead, Juan.
Yeah, I'll jump in there and say, this gets a little bit outside of pure entertainment, but these enterprise uses that you're seeing with work from home for trying to figure out how do we do virtual meetings, how do we do whiteboard sessions and workshops and things like that. I'm seeing a lot of startups that are experimenting with AR and VR in those contexts. And then the other interesting framing is you have to think about what all is included in there. For example, if you look at Facebook, even something like Portal is really in their AR, VR group, right? And Portal, not everybody may know what it is, but it's essentially a family video chat hardware software interface, but it's using a lot of their AR VR stack to power it. And I hear that, coming into the future, there's going to be more and more of that getting into your kind of family interaction. So when you ask, is it's here, I mean, some people may be out there using a product like Portal and not even thinking about the fact that this stuff is slowly coming into it. And when you broaden out what AR and VR means to something like a Portal, and you start thinking about, well, okay, what's the enterprise version of that, right? And what's the next generation video conferencing, working, even what we're doing here, having a virtual conference system look like, and does that start to involve AR or VR?
You're again spot on with that. It's the beginning, right? People are getting educated, feeling how this interacts in their daily lives, which can make it so much bigger in the near future. Lewis, anything to add? And then I've got a big question for all of you as we hit the lightning round here in just a moment.
Yeah, Hollywood, and I say it all the time, if you can create something, it can come to life. Look at Total Recall with Arnold Schwarzenegger. He had the augmented reality. I mean, he was able to go and have a hologram of himself, and these type of things will come to pass. They will come to pass in enterprise, and it'll come to pass in education. It'll come to pass in all areas, all industries. When you're looking at learning, okay, and you're teaching your workers, augmented reality is a key part, and you're able to actually have them learn, okay, without wasting time, without wasting money. You have them learn virtually, or you utilizing augmented reality, so they're learning how to do everything, and they're doing it as if they were really physically doing it. I'm sure that the progression to virtual reality is going to be there, where you can have something on and you can actually do it. I think it's just going to be an amazing time, and VR is here. And Juan made a point to it. It's in systems you don't even know. And I spoke about it earlier with Google. It's like they know what you want. You just type a couple of letters, and machine learning, all this stuff is playing a part in everything. And I think we're just at the beginning of the AR VR evolution. I'm not going to say revolution. I say evolution, because we're going to evolve, Kyle.
Absolutely. And everyone, we're here at the lightning round. So just as a reminder for those that are tuning in for the first time, the lightning round, we're going to come to one big question. We're going to talk about the areas of opportunities. We're all investors here. We look at these industries both from an investor's perspective, an intelligence perspective, so research, and also from a founder's perspective, was we've played all sides of the table. So we're going to talk a little bit about quickly the areas of opportunity, and then if you can, let everyone know where they can find you online to continue the conversation to further where these industries are going. So Irina, let's start with you. Where are you seeing the areas of opportunity that people should be paying attention to, and then where can everyone find you online?
I think the areas of opportunities are those that basically provide solution for what is missing, which means that if it's a virtual experience, how do you texturize it, and then vice versa. To me, those are big areas of opportunities, and they're highly needed. And luckily, we're seeing a lot of it. By the way, education. My daughter has her favorite game is vacation and job. So she plays job and she plays vacation. But she also learned about astronomy, because she traveled through that. It tells you you fly your little ship. She also worked on a space station too, where she said, what, maybe when I'm older, I'll do it, because it's a little bit scary to be in space. So there's already these games and these opportunities for parents. And these are actually, I think, huge opportunities that are available right now, because we have platforms. You can actually build the game, and you can build something educational. It can even be counting game where a kid is catching balls and adding and subtracting, right? These are all simple things, and I see a lot of opportunity in that, because you kind of can bootstrap it, but yet it can become the most evolutionary educational tool that changes the way we teach children math or language or arts or whatever it is.
And where can everyone find you online?
Google me. You'll just find me, Irina Litchfield. LinkedIn message works really great. Just let me know whether it's blockchain integration or if it's about innovations and Lumeria.
Wonderful. Louis, to you, quick areas of opportunity, and where can everyone find you online?
Areas of opportunity, I'm going to echo what Irina said: education, learning, on the enterprise level, teaching your workers how to make them more efficient, more effective is going to increase the margins of your companies. So entrepreneurs that are involved in that, they're coming up with innovative ideas. Go for it, because there's going to be a wide opening as AR, VR, 5G, all this stuff starts to converge. And Gary mentioned it a million times. This is happening as we speak. Juan made a point about Pokemon Go. If your grandmother knows what Pokemon Go is, it was a good marketing deal. Okay. And people, you can find me on LinkedIn. You can go to fjpartners.com. You can see, find out a little more about me, omegahood.com, find out what we're doing in technology.
Wonderful. Thank you. Gary, to you, quick opportunities, and where can everyone find you?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's like I said, keep it simple, stupid. I mean, education right now, we got a lot of kids that aren't in school, and I don't see it really changing substantially, over the next 6 months. So I believe that this has really spurred the growth of virtual reality and augmented reality and being able to experience things you would never be able to do before. So walking the Great Wall of China, going to Greece, looking at how, not having to go to the museum, the Louvre, but actually to have a virtual tour. So I think this is an incredible time for that. and making those experiences more real is where the opportunities are. So I encourage startups to focus on it, and I encourage the investors to look at it. You can reach me, Gary Fowler, LinkedIn. Just message me there. I'd love to hear from you. We curate incredible companies that are looking to change the world. So contact me. Be happy to talk. Thanks, Kyle.
Wonderful. Thank you. And Juan, to you,
Yeah.
areas of opportunity and where can everyone find you online to continue the conversation?
Yeah, so I think a really interesting trend to look at is basically your distributed life. So that's distributed remote education, work, and social experiences and entertainment. So startups should be starting from a real need finding perspective and saying, what friction or need are we solving here? And then bringing in the technology as a secondary solution, not leading with the technology first. So that's what I see as the big opportunity. You can find me on Twitter. It's jbruce, JBRUCE, or LinkedIn. Look for Juan Bruce. Yeah, feel free to reach out.
Wonderful. And all, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts and insights today and joining us here on Partner Monday for just a little bit to share what's going on in entertainment, advertising, and media. To your audience, thank you so much for tuning in. If you like what you heard, click subscribe, give us a thumbs up. Do reach out if you'd like to be on a show like today. We'd love to have you, and entrepreneurs just the same. Thank you, Gary. Thank you, Irina. And a big thank you, Luis. Big thank you to Maria and to the entire LA Token team for making VCTV possible every single day. With that, I'm your host, Kyle Ellicott. You can find me on all social medias at Kyle Ellicott, and would love to continue the conversation. And as we do here on every show episode, as a reminder, if you do reach out to any of our guests, do make sure you add context. Let them know you either met them here on VCTV or something related to the industries and technologies regions that they spoke about as well, to continue that great relationship that you'll be building. With that, we'll be back here all week for more episodes of VCTV. So